Curtis Strange wasn't just great because of his golf skills. Sure, he had the talent and the strength, but what really made him stand out was his sharp mind and laser focus on the game. Fans were always amazed by the way he played with such smart, strategic moves. And when he stepped off the course and into the broadcast booth, he won people over all over again. Not with a club in his hands, but with his honesty and insight. Winning the US Open once is an incredible accomplishment, but winning it back-to-back, like Curtis Strange did in 1988 and 1989, is something truly special. The US Open is known for its brutally tough courses, high-pressure situations, and a field stacked with the best golfers in the world. To come out on top 2 years in a row takes more than just talent. It requires an unshakable mindset, strategic play, and the ability to handle the kind of pressure that would break most players. His 1989 win at Oak Hill was particularly unforgettable. It wasn't just a victory, it was a battle. He had to go through a playoff against Tom Lehman, a moment that could have gone either way. But Strange thrived under pressure, proving once again that he was a golfer who could deliver when it mattered most. This win didn't just add another trophy to his collection, it cemented his reputation as a clutch performer, someone who could step up and close the deal when everything was on the line. One of the things that set Strange apart was his intense focus. He had a way of shutting out distractions and zoning in on the task at hand. Some people saw this as him being distant or difficult, but in reality, it was one of the biggest reasons for his success. He had complete confidence in his ability and wasn't afraid to push himself, even when the odds weren't in his favor. And then came his second act, his time in the broadcast booth. While many great athletes struggle to transition into commentary, Strange made it look easy. His fans, who admired his game, grew to love him even more for his honesty and straightforward approach as a broadcaster. He didn't sugarcoat things or dance around the truth. If he thought a player made a mistake, he said so. If someone handled a situation brilliantly, he gave them their due. That kind of candor is rare in sports commentary, where many analysts try to stay overly polite or neutral. What made him truly special as a commentator, though, was his ability to break down the mental side of golf in a way that few others could. Having been in those pressure-packed situations himself, he knew exactly what was going through a player's mind in big moments. He didn't just describe what was happening, he helped fans understand why it was happening. That insight, combined with his honesty, made him a voice that people respected and appreciated. Whether he was competing on the course or calling the action from the booth, Curtis Strange made an impact on the game that few can match. His career is the kind that only a rare few have ever achieved. Curtis Strange's journey in golf began long before he became a household name. Born with a passion for the sport, he honed his skills early and quickly made a name for himself in amateur golf. He attended Princess Anne High School in Virginia Beach, where he stood out as a promising young golfer. After high school, he took his talents to Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where he played for the Demon Deacons. Strange wasn't just another college golfer. He was part of a legendary team alongside Jay Haas and Bob Byman. This squad was so dominant that Golf World later called them the greatest of all time. It was clear from the beginning that Strange was destined for greatness. His amateur career was nothing short of spectacular. In 1974, Golf Digest ranked him the #2 amateur in the country, and the following year, he remained in the top 3, proving his consistency and dominance. By the spring of 1976, Strange was ready to make the jump from amateur to professional, even though he was still a junior in college. It was an unusual decision at the time, but one that made perfect sense for someone with his talent. His college record was already being described as perhaps unmatched by sports writers like the Charlotte Observer's Richard Sink. It's easy to see why. Strange played in 25 college matches and finished in the top 10 every single time. Even more impressively, he placed in the top 5 in 21 of those events and won 9 individual tournaments. He also became the youngest NCAA champion in golf history at that time. Clearly, Strange wasn't just playing at a high level, he was rewriting records. By the time he turned pro in 1976, he had already proven himself as one of the greatest amateur golfers ever. But what he accomplished on the PGA Tour in the 1980s took his career to another level. Strange was one of the top players of the decade, racking up 16 of his 17 career PGA Tour victories during that time. He also topped the PGA Tour money list 3 times, in 1985, 1987, and 1988, which was no small feat. In fact, during that 1988 season, he became the first player to ever win $1 million in official prize money in a single season. This was groundbreaking at the time, showcasing just how dominant he was. Of course, the true highlight of his career came when he won back-to-back U.S. Open titles in 1988 and 1989. The U.S. Open is widely regarded as one of the toughest golf tournaments in the world, with punishing course setups and relentless pressure. Winning it once is a massive accomplishment. Winning it twice in a row, that puts a player in elite company. Since World War II, only 3 golfers have managed to defend their U.S. Open title successfully: Ben Ben Hogan in 1951, Curtis Strange in 1989, and Brooks Koepka in 2018. His 1989 U.S. Open win at Oak Hill was especially dramatic. It wasn't just a straightforward victory. He had to go through a tense playoff battle against Tom Lehman. Strange showed his usual poise under pressure and came out on top, proving once again that he was a clutch performer who could deliver when it mattered most. This would ultimately be his final PGA Tour victory, but what a way to cap off an incredible run. Beyond his major wins, Strange had plenty of other impressive moments in big tournaments. He was leading midway through the final round at the Masters in 1985, but fell just 2 strokes short of victory. He also came heartbreakingly close at the 1989 PGA Championship, finishing 1 stroke behind the winner. On top of that, he was a fierce competitor in 5 Ryder Cup teams and later took on the prestigious role of Ryder Cup captain in 2002. While he chose to skip the Open Championship several times during his prime, Strange wasn't afraid to compete on the international stage. He played in a number of international tournaments and found success across the globe. In 1986, he won the ABC Japan-US match, a tournament that featured several top American pros. He also played frequently on the Australasian Tour, winning 3 events in Australia between the late 1980s and early 1990s. Even when he didn't win, he was often in contention, finishing as the runner-up in tournaments like the 1976 Australian Open, 1986 Air New Zealand Shell Open, and 1990 Daikyo Palm Meadows Cup. Interestingly, like Ben Hogan and Henrik Stenson, Strange was actually a natural left-hander, but played golf right-handed, a unique trait that didn't seem to hold him back one bit. As he got older and his competitive fire started to cool, Strange made the transition to the Champions Tour after turning 50 in 2005. He was honest about his decision, once saying, "I was getting worse," and said, "To hell with it." Even though he didn't dominate like he had in his prime, he still managed a 3rd-place finish at the Constellation Energy Classic and a tie for 5th at the FedEx Kinko's Classic in his first season. But while his playing career was winding down, a new chapter was beginning, his broadcasting career. In 1997, he was hired as ESPN/ABC's lead golf analyst, working alongside Mike Tirico. Strange brought the same intensity and straightforward attitude to the booth that he had on the course. He wasn't afraid to be honest, offering critical and insightful analysis rather than playing it safe. His time with ESPN had its ups and downs. He left in 2004 due to a contract dispute, only to return in 2008. Later in 2016, he joined Fox Sports as a course reporter for USGA Championships. His deep understanding of the game and his ability to break down the mental aspects of golf made him one of the most respected voices in the sport. Strange's contributions to golf didn't go unnoticed. On April 18, 2007, he was elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame and was officially inducted on November 12th at the World Golf Village in St. Augustine, Florida. 2 years later, in May 2009, he was also recognized in his home state when he was inducted into the Hampton Roads Sports Hall of Fame for his contributions to sports in southeastern Virginia. That wraps up today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an update